Westbrook. Those guys are all under contract for one more year. They played just 21 games together last season. When they were on the floor together, the Lakers are outscored by 34 points. We were in L.A. together for that game that LeBron scored, had that crazy night against Golden State. It was pretty much the highlight of their season. If they bring that group back together again, Darvin Ham has sort of laid out a plan for Russell Westbrook. He wants him to be a defender. He wants him to set screens, shoot corner threes. Can you see that trio working in a big way together in L.A.?
They can work. They have to be healthy. They have to be whole. And you have to have Anthony Davis play much more than he's played as far as health issues. That's not his fault, but he's got to stay healthy. And Russell Westbrook is getting, people disrespecting his talent and how great he is as a basketball player. I think outstanding hire in Darvin Ham, former teammate of mine, obviously saying and doing the right things. They needed a culture change. They have to buy in on the defensive end. They have to be healthy. And the role players have to play. And then the stars and LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook, they've got to be better.
The one thing that remains out there, I guess, as a possibility, I don't even know how to define the possibility anymore, is that they wind up getting Kyrie Irving. Kyrie seems to be sending signals that that's where he would like to be. So just envisioning a situation where you have LeBron and Kyrie together again with Anthony Davis. Is that a championship nucleus? Is that a championship big three? If
they buy in defensively and if the role players, which they've elevated the talent as far as coming off that bench. You get a young Lonnie Walker from the San Antonio Spurs. So they've got better talent. But at the end of the day, they have to do it on the defensive end. You can't think I'm just going to outscore people. They have to hold each other accountable, and they have to defend on the other end.
All right, look, it's a fascinating summer here in the NBA, as they always are, and we'll see how some of these moves play out. In the meantime, I am so excited to talk about this documentary. It's a Showtime documentary. It is called NYC Point Gods. And those of us who are from New York, as I am, and grew up loving basketball as I did, we know that there is just a history, there's a lineage, and you are very much a piece of it. Tell me and everyone else a little bit about what we'll see in the doc.
Well, if you're a basketball fan, it's the history of basketball. And when you're talking about basketball playing, it starts at the point guard position. And it didn't start with Mark Jackson, Kenny Smith, Pearl Washington, or any of us. It started with the OGs before. So you want to talk about Lenny Wilkins and Bob Cousy. You want to talk about Tiny Archibald, the only guy that ever led the league in scoring and assists. The swag, the confidence, the grit, the grind that has impacted and has taken over not just New York City, but you see that same style, that same fashion across the board, whether you come from Tupelo, Mississippi, or you come from Los Angeles, California.
So I get this fight. You know, Jalen is always his guys, and all the Chicago guys are the best. Are the best basketball players from New York? Is New York still the provider, the creator of the best players in the world?
So you messed up. You said still. Now, when you say still, there can be an argument. But historically. Absolutely. Put Jalen to. I played with Jalen. I know him and I love him.
Yeah.
Put him on a lie detector test. He'll tell the truth. But New York City has historically the greatest basketball players that's ever played the game. Showtime, the documentary again. NYC Point Gods. I'm looking forward to it. Mark, so good to see you. Enjoy this summer. Wonderful to have you. Last time I saw him, he was eating the heaviest lunch I've ever seen in my entire life in Boston. You with your security by yourself.
I'm glad. Utah is now listening to offers for Donovan Mitchell, who's under contract for 4 years but does have a player option after that. In Brooklyn, questions remain around Kyrie Irving's future. Earlier this summer, Woj reporting the Lakers were the only team known to be pursuing him, and his current teammate Kevin Durant also currently in Brooklyn. But we get news last night, Woj dropping the bomb, and he was with us at the top of the hour here, saying that the Boston Celtics are now a team that has entered the conversations about Kevin Durant. So we're talking about Toronto, Phoenix, Miami, and Boston as potential destinations for Kevin Durant. It should be pointed out nothing is imminent. But here's what we definitely have imminent. The great Mark Jackson is in our studio. One of the true NYC Point Gods. He is here because of a Showtime documentary that, by the way, Kevin Durant is one of the producers on, which is called NYC Point Gods. And this man from Bishop Laughlin and St. John's, the great Mark Jackson. It's so good to see you, Mark. Thank you for coming.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
We'll talk about the doc in a minute, but let's start with KD. I mean, this obviously is the story of the summer. Now the topic comes up with Boston and the possibility they could put Jaylen Brown and a whole bunch of draft picks into a trade. Just right off the top, how does that sound?
Well, it sounds great, and it's shocking to me that we're not highlighting 29 other teams trying to get the talent of Kevin Durant. When you have a home run hitter and an all-time great talent like Kevin Durant on the market or possibly available, you have to pick up the phone and look at your options. He makes any team, including his own, instant championship caliber team.
I mean, the Eastern Conference is so loaded at the top. But just imagine a situation where you've got Jason Tatum and Kevin Durant on that team with all the pieces they had this year, save for Jalen Brown. They've added Malcolm Brogdon. They've added Danilo Gallinari. Would that clearly make the Celtics the team to beat in the East?
It would put them into discussion with anybody else. There are some outstanding teams in the East, so I'm not going to be disrespectful, but it automatically puts them as one of the favorites and one of the favorites in the East and one of the favorites to win it all. But he makes them, and if I'm Jalen Brown,
yeah,
I got to be, it's a compliment. I don't look at it as an insult. This is Kevin Durant we're talking about, so I'm not going to look and say, you're turning your back on me. If you have an opportunity, and that's any team, to get a Kevin Durant, you have to be on the phone.
So the first thing you said was including his own. I haven't had a chance to talk to you since all this began, but it's now almost 4 weeks that Kevin Durant asked for a trade, and according to Woj's story last night, has not budged off of that. What do you make of the fact that he wants out of there and that everything, it appears, is going to blow up this quickly in Brooklyn?
Well, something's not right. And if I'm the Nets, I'd be just like one of those other 29 teams. You win in this league with talent. I can't afford to lose Kevin Durant, and anything I get back will not be equal to the talent of Kevin Durant. So I try to have a discussion with him. What are the concerns? How can we make this right? And then try to put him in a situation where we make it convenient and not sell our souls, but he wants to win. There's no question. This is not about a selfish Kevin Durant. He's a championship player and an all-time great talent. I would try to get on the phone with him and make things right. What don't you like about this situation? How can we rectify it?
What we don't really seem to know is exactly how he feels about Kyrie Irving at this point. Everything that we know for certain is that they are close friends. They remain that way. And that this desire to be traded doesn't necessarily rest on Kyrie. But how about that part of it? If you're the Nets, I've had some people say to me they can't bring the whole thing back. After the way things went last year, they can't bring back KD and Kyrie and Ben Simmons and try and make a go of it there. Could you see that working?
Well, we don't know about Kevin Durant and Kyrie's relationship, but the Nets know about it. The powers that be in Brooklyn know about it. So I see it working if everything is fine. And it seems like they're respectful. They appreciate each other's talent. And in the same way that Kevin Durant is a home run all-time great talent, you can't disrespect Kyrie Irving. Now, he may have his issues, but there's no question about his gift and his ability to play the game of basketball. So I would try to make it right and then fix whatever the situation is, because it's obviously something they've fallen short as a championship caliber team.
So I keep going back to this, and let's just live in a world where they do figure out a way to do what you've just said, which everyone keeps telling me they can't. But if they could, if you had a team that had Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons, and let's see if his head's in the right place and his back is okay, then we've forgotten, I think, to some degree how good a player he can be with the pieces they have. Is that a team that you would put in the mix to win the championship?
Absolutely. There's no question about that. You see, I didn't even stall. Because you're talking about three guys that as superior talent. You talked about Ben Simmons. When he's healthy, he's an impact player, and he's an elite player on both sides of the floor. Now, he's not an elite scorer, but he's an elite facilitator. He's an elite defender, has size, rebound. He does everything that puts you in a position to win. And those other two guys, along with getting back Joe Harris, a guy that's an outstanding role player, a knockdown shooter, that team is loaded. And if they come back healthy and whole, they have a real chance.
I agree completely. Everyone keeps telling me that I'm nuts, so I guess you and I are nuts together. But
that's good company.
I agree. I appreciate your company. That we never got a chance to see what they could be together. Things couldn't go more wrong than they went last year. Let's see if anything were to go right. Meanwhile, in L.A., I know that the Lakers, a lot of people keep wondering, will they wind up getting Kyrie Irving? We know that they've got LeBron, they've got Anthony Davis, they've got Russell Westbrook. Those guys are all under contract for one more year. They played just 21 games together last season. When they were on the floor together, the Lakers were outscored by 34 points. We were in L.A. together for that game that LeBron scored, had that crazy night against Golden State. It was pretty much the highlight of their season. If they